Good evening for those of you who have joined us. We are going to get started here probably in about another minute or so. We are giving people a couple more minutes to join on. I know it's in evening time, and everyone is possibly kind of settling in or after dinner. So we're going to give it one more minute, and we're going to get started. Thanks for showing up. All right. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in on this evening. We're going to go ahead and get started. And what we're going to talk about this evening is Data Privacy Day. This is going to be pretty, it's not formal at all. Like I said, it's the evening time. And so, and I know everyone is comfortably in their homes and probably kind of in chill mode. So, but I wanted to come to you all this evening and talk about data privacy for one, because January 28th is actual Data Privacy Day. And there is a attempt to basically raise awareness about Data Privacy Day and what it means. And the actual hashtag for that is going to be privacy awareness. I know it says Data Protection Day on that, but it actually should be Data Privacy Day. And so we'll get that changed here shortly. But Data Privacy Day is actually January 28th. And what it entails is basically beginning on January 2008 as an extension of Data Privacy Day um, in Europe. It was observed annually since 1981, signing of Convention 108. And so data privacy helps spread awareness about privacy and educate citizens on how to secure their personal information. It also works to encourage businesses to be more transparent about how they collect, store, and use data. And so, kind of going right into that, as we know that, especially nowadays, with us being on our devices and having to use technology because of COVID and being at home, we are pretty much on our tablets all the time. And so we use it to sort of connect to the outer world, especially when things first kind of hit last year, in March. It was how we, got our news. It was how we were able to work from home. It was how our kids were able to still go to school. And so, we are really, literally living in a digital age, and we're constantly being, uh, almost to a point to where we cannot be without our devices for anything whatsoever. So before I get a little more deeper into that, so a little bit about myself. As you can see, my name is Reginald Corbett. I My background is in physical security investigations and personal protection. And so for over 20 years, I did that work, and I still kind of do that work. And, but in 2010, basically, I discovered that my daughter was having conversations online with people that I didn't know and that she didn't know. So as a father with that background in security, that greatly concerned me. And so I felt like, there was another world out there that I didn't know about and understand, where I could not inform her on how to be safe and how to navigate it safely. And so from there, I did tons of research. Also, obtained some schooling, and then, because I wanted to be informed, and at that time, I wanted to inform her But then as I began to inform her, I discovered that she is not the only teenager that needed to know this information. And then also in time, I also discovered that I wasn't the only parent that needed to know this information. And so I created Safe Cyber, which is, to raise awareness about technology, being online, and then that moves on to things like social media etiquette. I do a digital parenting class. I offer digital parenting class where I talk to parents about pretty much what apps are out there, what to look out for, how they can be well informed on, really kind of stay abreast on the technology and social media because it's what our kids are on. Now, most platforms offer some type of social uh, interaction, and basically all the platforms are just that. It's just to be social. And so, when you look at platforms like Facebook and Instagram and some of the other platforms that are out there now, our gaming platforms, you can play with somebody from another part of the world. And then also, even apps like Waze, where you can, meet someone on the highway, pretty much literally, and sharing information. Waze is you can be social on Waze as well. So all of the platforms are pretty much made for people to connect with each other in some way, shape, or form. Um, all platforms are made for us to connect. And so one thing I want you to remember is that as basically put your information on these platforms are collecting data, and these data are creating these profiles for you. Okay. And then we'll talk a little bit more about what they're doing with these profiles. And I think for most of So I created Safe Cyber for that reason. And it's all about educating communities and creating a culture of connectivity, of safe connectivity. And so I've been doing that for the past almost 6 years now. And I was, traveling before COVID. I was traveling from state to state, to schools and youth organizations and companies, and really just talking about um, being safe online, how to conduct themselves online, and also really just how to navigate the online landscape. And so right at that, my screen went out behind me to have my logo up. So that was sort of almost perfect timing. Um, but so as we move forward, and I was talking about data privacy day, um, there is sort of a there's sort of this myth that it's all about uh, companies and cybersecurity experts protecting our data. But what you should really know is that we play a major role in that. You play a major role in protecting your own data at the end of the day, and it pretty much starts with you. Um, and so the theme for data privacy today, this time around this year, is all about owning your privacy and manage your privacy settings. It's so important, and you'd be surprised how many people really just don't manage their privacy settings or don't really even know about their privacy settings and what exactly they do, what they can do to help protect them, what they can do to help uh, really, manage, what type of information that they put out there. And like I mentioned earlier, for the most part, most companies are there to collect your data. I'm going to pause for a second because this thing behind me is actually, irritating me right now. So I'm going to unplug that so that that's not up there anymore. There we go. And so, um, you know, it's really important that you play a role in protecting your own data first and foremost. So, one of the first things that you can do as an individual is you want to think of your data as money, right? Personal info is like money, value it, protect it. Personal information has tremendous value to businesses, like I mentioned earlier. It's just like money. So you want to make informed decisions about whether or not to share your data. And so, you know, realize that you don't have to share all of your data with companies. You do in some cases. have options on what you can share. But we're so used to just typing in that information, giving them everything about us that they ask for. But sometimes we don't read where it says when they fill out a box at the bottom of it, it might say option. Basically saying that this is an option whether we get this information from you or not. So it's really important to read what it is that the companies need from you. And then another thing to think about is when you're downloading things to your devices, um, how many people really pay attention to when it says, we need access to your address book, you know, your camera, and things of that nature. So, really got to think about that, especially when it comes to downloading the apps, because one of the things you also want to remember and share with your children is that, they want to get permission from you to download apps because, some of those apps are from other countries. Some of those apps have hidden intentions. We've seen it in the news, we've heard about it, where apps have been downloaded, from other places, only to discover and find out that it was an app that was from another country and it was just gathering information. And there's still apps that exist like that today that are probably on most people's phone and they don't know it. One that I remember is this is many, many years ago when the flashlight app came out, and everybody was downloading that app and downloading it, and then come to find out that one in particular was from another country and it was gathering information. Because when you think about it, why does a flashlight app need to have access um, to your address book? Right. So what's the point of that? So, those are the things you want to, pay attention to and think about when you're downloading things onto your devices. Is why is this app asking me for access to these certain parts of my device and certain parts of my phone? So, think about that, give that some thought. And speaking of apps, you want to keep tabs on your apps. Many apps ask for access to personal information, such as your geographic location, your contact list, and your photo album, which I mentioned before you can use their services. But be thoughtful about who gets that information. Usually, if it's a really, really popular app, everybody's going to run to it and just immediately start downloading it, not paying attention to it. Such case as the TikTok app. Um, and now it's it's a worldwide app. Even when it was mentioned that possibly information is on there and being shared, not too many people deleted the app. They still roll with it, but they're putting their information in themselves at risk. So you want to manage your privacy settings. You want to check the privacy and security settings on web services and apps and set them to your comfort level for information sharing. And for the most part, like I said, you do have some options when it comes to pitching, comes to your privacy settings and managing those privacy settings. It's just that people just really sometimes don't pay attention to that. Um, so when it comes to your privacy settings, some people don't even know where they're at. And because we have so many devices out there, I'm going to, if you go to safecyberedu.com, you will see that there will be a link that is there that will pretty much forward you to a website and a link that can talk about all of the apps and devices out there where you can find the actual security settings so that you can manage them. Whether it's an Android device, whether it's an Apple device, whether it's a tablet. That link on my page at safecyberedu.com, which is my website, um, will show you exactly how to take you step by step on how to manage and change and update those settings. And so when it comes to um, you know giving your information out there, one thing that people need to know and understand is that you are giving you're creating a profile, you know and so you're creating this profile, and at the same time these companies are using your information and actually selling it to third party companies. That's why you get the robocalls, that's why you get the emails, Friend of mine was just talking to me about, some of the emails that he gets, and he was wondering why. That's pretty much it, because we use that emails. That's sort of how we get into certain places, or we get access to these platforms. And so, what I try to get people to understand is that when it comes to these platforms, you got to think of it like this. If you've ever been a renter, someone that rented a house, you're the renter, and the app platform like Facebook, IG, is the landlord. Okay. So you're just basically in their space, because think about it. When something goes wrong, what do we do? Just the other day, Facebook started logging people off, and people just kind of went crazy. Why is Facebook logging me off? They need to fix this. Last year, I think IG went down a couple of times, and, people were in an uproar of that. But there was an expectation that, you all need to fix this so I can go about my business, so I can continue to live my life. But you got to realize that you got to look at it as you're the renter and they're the landlord. Yeah, we're going to fix this, but we need access, you know, to your device. We need access to your settings. So basically, when you sign up for these platforms and you scroll all the way past all that information where it tells you that you need to read, and you click and check that box, you're basically telling them that, yes, I am a renter in your house, and you are my landlord, and you have complete access to all of this. Because think about it, for the most part, a landlord can't enter your home to fix things, can enter your home for reasons. But there are restrictions, right? And so the same thing with us. That's why there are some privacy restrictions. How many people really read that long list of what they have access to? And speaking of that, remember just a couple of weeks ago, IG announced, and Facebook announced that they now can have access to our videos. For those of you that don't know, that is out there. Feel free to Google it. But they basically, announced that we can monitor your through your video anytime that we want. And not many people went anywhere because of that. So that says a few things. One, that people feel like they need to have these platforms. And two, that it's okay for them to do that if they need to do so. So you really want to think about that. Hey, I still have my IG. I know the risk that's involved, but I also have things that I cover up my video, uh, my cameras with as well. So I have little stickers that I cover my video holes up with on my phone, and also on my laptop, and on my family's tablet as well. So that's one way that you can kind of um, prevent that, shall I say. But again, those platforms, we use them to be social. We are now using them to promote our businesses on, um, and it's a $1 billion business. Your information is a $1 billion business when it comes to that. So again, know that your information is being sold. Um, it is. You did basically okay that when you signed up. So you have to make the decision about, for one, what information you share, and two, if you still want to continue to use this type of platforms. And people would say, well, we need to start our own platform, this and that. People definitely said that as of yesterday with Clubhouse. You know, making a ton of money off of other people's content, which is what they did, because Clubhouse is about people going on to a to an app, talking about businesses or whatever the case may be, sharing things. Some people were just strictly running their mouths, but as of yesterday, the owner of it, you know, is made a ton of money off of it. So think about that. You know, somebody else made money off of other people's content, just for other people to get onto the platforms and discuss their own content. So genius. To me, I call it genius. Um, so, you want to think about, for you as a person, who maybe want to create an app. You want to think long term like that. What is it for? What's the purpose of it? Do I want to sell it down the line, or is it something that I feel like that would be add value to the world, to the community? So it's it can be tricky, when it comes to the data, because the other thing is that you want to think about is, will you be someone that sells information to third parties if you were to create a platform, right? Because these third party companies are paying big money for our information. So this is why we're able to come onto platforms for free and use them, because that platform is definitely making money somewhere, because we're not paying them. So how are they a million and billion dollar company? Because someone else is. They're making money off of our information. And so with millions of people being on these platforms, billions of people being on a platform, that equals millions and billions of money. So as we move forward here, I'm going to talk a little bit about, speaking of businesses, privacy is good for business. So respecting consumers' privacy is a smart strategy for inspiring trust and enhancing reputation and growth. So as a business, whether you are a mom and pop, whether you are a single sole proprietor, or whether you are a major business with multiple employees, if you collect it, you want to protect it. So follow reasonable security measures to keep individuals' personal information safe from inappropriate and unauthorized use. Again, as I mentioned, our information is a hot commodity, especially um, when it comes to hackers that are wanting our information. So there is a place called the dark web, where most of the information is sold and exchanged. When you hear in the news about corporations being hacked, in some cases, that information is held for ransom, and we don't know it, but those companies will pay that ransom in order to get that information, or get access back to our information, or get information freed up. Companies have paid millions of dollars. It has not been in the news because they don't want to admit it, but that's what happens. Our information will get held ransom, uh, for ransom, and it will be paid, and has been paid in most cases. So if you are a small business, you want to definitely make sure that you are protecting your customers, especially if you're a small business that gathers information. And most businesses now are online, and so you want to make sure that you are protecting your customers' information. Consider adopting a privacy framework. Build privacy into your business by researching and adopting a privacy framework to help you manage risk and create a culture of privacy in your organization. So again, whether that's you're a small company with 2, 3, or 4, or 5 employees, you still want to create this culture so that employees know that they should keep customers' information safe at all costs. You want to conduct an assessment of your data collection practices and understand which privacy laws and regulations apply to your business. So the privacy laws and regulations are different in different cities and different states. So you want to pay attention to that, and do the research on that. Transparency builds trust. So be open and honest about how you collect, use, and share customers' personal information. Most companies now, especially if you go online to fill out something, they let you know exactly how they're using your information. Um, so if you are a company that, again, that is collecting data, you want to be transparent about that. You want to say that, we will share this information with a third party company. And a lot of companies do. They'll tell you right there that, you know, you enter your information in here, it's going to be shared with third party companies. And they may use words like, for better efficiency, better customer service or something of that nature. But at the end of the day, they're selling the information, like I mentioned. So maintain oversight of partners and vendors. If someone provides services on your behalf, you are also responsible for how they collect and use your consumer personal information. So make sure that you are uh, watching and inquiring about third party vendors and how they actually are using uh, customers' personal information. So, one of the ways that you can get involved with Data Privacy Day, as I mentioned, it's actually January 28th, is going to staysafeonline.org and signing up for information on Data Privacy Day and how you can participate. You will encourage colleagues, friends, and families to register as individuals, and you can post on social media using the hashtag, excuse me, privacy aware and Data Privacy Day. For those of you who are writers and bloggers, you want to contribute a guest blog to staysafeonline.org. Feel free to contact them at info@staysafeonline.org. But also feel free to add a blog about this on your site, or a vlog about this as well, because again, you have customers, and one of the ways you want to build relationships with your customer is adding value to them. So imagine telling a customer how they can keep their information safe. You're doing a vlog, or you're doing a blog on it, and you're basically informing them about the data that they share with you and how you are actually keeping it safe, but also their role in keeping it safe. And so, in closing, like I said, I was going to be here before you all long. So, in closing, um, feel free to check out my website, which is safecyberedu.org. And I have, quite a bit of information, especially for digital parents, for those of you who have children who have devices, who are on them constantly on a regular basis, especially now. I talk about how to help them manage the use of that device, because most kids are at home. There's some kids that I have gone back to school, but most kids are at home and still and using these devices on a regular basis. So helping them navigate and manage the use of these devices, to where they have school, but then of course they want to do Minecraft and all these other games as well, so that your child is not constantly in front of this device, all day long. I'll talk about how you can do some breaks in between, how you can, use the device also for some educational purposes as well. So, you know, again, thank you all for joining me. Thank you for your time this evening. I will continue to do more lives and more vlogs, which will be posted on my YouTube, which is Safe Cyber EDU, on YouTube as well. And really just continue to keep, communities informed about, social media and how to use our devices in a healthy way. There is such a thing as digital wellness, especially now, because at the end of the day, we're still human beings. Technology is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Uh, However, that human interaction and human connection is still needed on a regular basis amongst ourselves as people in this world. But we do have technology, which is great. I really look forward to seeing how the generations in the future are going to use it. If you're my age, you remember the Jetsons, and we used to watch that show and used to look at them talking through screens and flying around in cars and things of that nature, instant food and all of that stuff. We are here. We're here. We're living in those times. They're testing the vehicles in the air now. The one-man passenger taxis. So it is. We're here. We have arrived. And so, it's great that, kids are involved in programs like STEM, and other technology programs. And I encourage that all day long. Um, but when it comes to, you know, devices, and especially when it comes to the social media, we want to make sure that we are conducting ourselves um, in the most ethical way possible when it comes to technology. And then we want to teach our kids the same thing. Um, you know, Unfortunately, the cyberbullying has increased because of us being on our devices so much. But that's just not kids; that's adults too. Um, you know, at the end of the day, um, you know, it just has been an emotional past couple of years. Whether it was government that was involved, and all of the back and forth with that, all of the tension that was in the air, a lot of that was expressed on social media. So we want to make sure that our kids understand that, they are creating a digital footprint. And you as a parent, you are creating your child's digital footprint too from the first login that you help them create. So that those digital footprints are going to be viewed and looked at in the future when it's time for them to interview for a job, start college. They're going to go to social media first, and they've been doing that. Anybody in HR knows that for the most part, you're going to go look at somebody's social media first before you even call them in for an interview. Why? Because it's basically the first impression of the day's age. It really is. If you recall, few years ago, about six students got into Harvard. So imagine getting into Harvard, you're celebrating, your whole family's celebrating. You're telling people, "Oh, my baby got into Howard." I'm sorry, in the Harvard, Howard too, but Harvard, particularly about this incident I'm talking about. Um, but then what they did was they went on the message board and they put some racist comments, and then they were expelled from the school. So all of that was taken away from them in a keystroke. So schools are pretty serious about it. Employers are pretty serious about it. Um, you know, Quite a bit of people who have, just recently, uploaded videos, with the Capitol incident, and their employers found out about it, are basically, cutting ties with people, based off of that. So it's a really, really big deal in today's world. So when we're teaching and talking to our children about it, we want to let them know that what you do now on social media, what you say, what you post, what you show will be seen down the line and viewed. So, with that said, again, thank you all for tuning in. Feel free to follow all of my social media platforms, which I will put up here for you all to check out. And then feel free to email me for any questions, any comments. Feel free to reach out. If you'd like for me to conduct a presentation or talk on particular subjects related to social media, cyberbullying, digital parenting, um, as well. But feel free to contact me. Again, thank you for your time and have a good night.